All right. So evidently we have some muted sound there, which, but hey, that gives you kind of a flashback to the intro of GrowthCon Day 2. And it was actually really an epic one. And that's what our discussion is about today. We're going to talk about GrowthCon Day 2. A lot of powerful information that was covered there. And we have some special guests that we're going to be bringing on here. I'm going to go ahead and bring them on actually right now. We got Christian and we got Zaria.
Hey, everyone.
How are you guys doing this morning?
Good. Good afternoon here, so it's almost half of the day gone.
Almost half, yeah. So Christian is coming from us. From where are you coming from? Let's start with you real quick. Introduce yourself, Christian. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Christian Voyna. I'm living in Inverness in Scotland, UK at the moment. I've been here for the last 14 years, originally from Romania. People say I'm an expert, but I would say I work in real estate. I have a few businesses dealing with selling and buying properties. I'm also an investor, entrepreneur. I'm also created recently one of my new programs, which is called Leap, which is based on taking a quantum leap and massive success in not just your life but in business as well. And I'm also one of the GrowthCon licensees. Take it or leave it on. So right in the right place, I would say.
Love it.
Thank you for inviting me over, Joel. Always happy to be here.
Oh, 100%. Always, you're always welcome here, man. And I mean, you had to watch GrowthCon this year because of the pandemic, the thing that's going on around the world.
Yes.
You had to attend this virtually, didn't you?
Yes. So it's not as fun as you guys. So, but look, I was there in spirit, if you want to call it that way.
Okay. All right. Well, and that's the at least you were there, right? So. And Zaria, tell everyone about. Introduce yourself again. Tell everyone who you are. Tell us what you do, and we'll get on into GrowthCon then.
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you very much for having me on your podcast, Joel. Always happy to be here with you. My name is Zaria Reno. I'm from Canada, and I work with Primerica, and we help entrepreneurs achieve their personal, professional, and financial goals by helping them earn, keep, and multiply their money. So super happy to be here.
Awesome. I love it. Now you were at GrowthCon. You smuggled out through the border, right? And then got caught going back in. But you made it down there. I think you made the best of the whole occasion. You stayed down there for a while and you got a chance to experience a few things. Tell us a little bit about that, because for some people that are kind of a little bit maybe unsure, or maybe they're able to, but they're just unsure. What was your experience on the whole scenario?
Grant really taught me to make a decision, like commit, figure out the rest later. And that was kind of what I did when it came to GrowthCon. I seen an opportunity and knew that, there was going to be some adversities I was going to have to face to get there and to come back. But I knew that if I made the commitment and the investment to myself and my business, it would pay dividends in the future. And, I connected with beautiful people like you. Christian, you weren't there, but I know that we connected virtually after the event. So it was just incredible. I would recommend anybody, regardless on, maybe how hard it can be to get somewhere, just do it if you know it's going to pay off.
Right. But I mean, plus you had snow back home and that was nice, warm Miami weather. How can you complain against that one, right?
Yeah, we still have snow. It's almost melted here, but I'm definitely not in Miami anymore.
I love it. Well, day two was filled with a lot of phenomenal speakers, and Grant opened it up with a scene there. We kind of had playing. I guess there was no sound on it, so I apologize. But Grant opened that up with really kind of giving us a point to drive home, and that was always being prepared. Mm-hmm. Always being prepared. And of course, he used a few different ways to demonstrate that, but always being prepared and ready to go, right? Is kind of how I took it. How did you guys, it's always entertaining to see what he's going to do to open up GrowthCon. If you've been to GrowthCons before, what would you guys take away from the whole opening? Because there's lessons throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Christian.
Okay. Like I said, I've been with Grant for like most than 2 years now, and he's always making an impact in everything he does. So we wouldn't expect any less on GrowthCon or boot camps or even when he's going live on Instagram, it's always making an impact. So I think that's the key message you need to take on because whatever you say, even if you say for 10 seconds, if you don't make an impact, it's pointless. So you need to make sure that when you present yourself and present your message to anybody like me, presenting myself now, although I kind of got cut off guard a bit. But it's you're there, make the most of it, and make sure you make that impact. And people are going to remember you. It doesn't matter if you're there for 10 seconds or 10 minutes,
right?
Or 10 days. So even if I wasn't there, look, we still we managed to connect after all this carry on. So we made an impact on each other. It doesn't have to be present; it just have to be the right connection.
Exactly.
100%. What about you?
I think there's a few different ways that you can perceive that video. But for me, it's also like, even though it was Grant's show, like, you still have to go through security and still follow the rules, right? So I feel like it was almost a message saying, like, you're never as special as you think you are. Like, you're not going to get away with something just because you're Saria. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of the way I took that.
Well, the other side of it I saw too is always, if we're not always trying to push the envelope a bit, he didn't break, didn't break any laws, but so they're like, there's a small lesson, and I've heard him say it before. It's like, you don't break the law, but always,
yeah,
make the law work for you.
Yeah, play unfair. Be unfair, right? Don't do the unethical thing. But day 2 opened up with, of course, one of the best speakers, with Elena Cardone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that not only just for the ladies, but the guys too, there is so much impact and so much value there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we get started and kind of, what was your takeaways from what Elena talked about? She talked about either you're destroying or you're building an empire.
That was my favorite part of her whole entire speech.
Go ahead. Let's go. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it was a really impactful kind of statement that she made, because she talked about how every decision you make, you're either creating or destroying your empire. But then she also said you might even be destroying one that you didn't even know that you yet built. And that kind of hit me as being like so young. And I mean, I have an empire, but I don't have like somebody else in my empire, if that makes sense. And so it's kind of like, I really got to be conscious of the decisions I'm making today, because they really can affect tomorrow.
Right. So, well, it's if who you choose to build the empires with is important, and that's a critical component, because if your plan is to build an empire, right, you need to make sure that you're going to be in total alignment with somebody else that also wants to build an empire.
Yeah.
Right, Christian, what do you think? What did you take away as a guy? Let's from a guy perspective, let's touch on that.
From the guy's perspective, it's important to see how important it is to have the right person next to you, and it's a proven record to see how much Grant achieved since he's been married with or connected with Elena, because it's always that extra thing here that the woman can bring, and the connection, the partnership, not necessarily the woman. I don't want to take anything away from the woman, because they are more powerful than men. Even we don't really like to say that, but it's the reality. Is that the connection they have together, and the minute she's boosting his confidence when he needed, because we only see the showman, if you want to call it that, on TV, but he had moments when he said himself, you see me working all the time, but I don't work all the time. I have the family and I have this. I know how to work it. And Elena, and if you go on Gran Cardone University, which is, if you guys are not there yet, I really suggest to be there. Elena has her own chapter there, which is talks about how to build an empire, and it's not connected to the women, because I've been there, and the first reaction is like, oh, this is just women. But the more I listened to what she said, and that happened the same again in the second day at GrowthCon, the more you listen, and you actually listen to her, to Elena, you can see the quality of the message. You can see why the two, they blended together, why the empire they built is growing and growing. Because you need to learn, not sometimes, you need to learn if you want to grow. You need to delegate, you need to have great people next to you. You need to connect with the right people, and you need to know how to boost and to complement yourself. So I think Elena has put that across in so many ways on the second day, and it's always great to see what she can achieve and what other people and women especially they connected with her they achieve. I know so many great people, men and women. They reach out to Elena, and I can see the journey, and this has been amazing. So yeah, without a doubt, she's the the same level as Grant, but no doubt.
Right. There was a couple points that she brought out, and I really liked it. And it was talking about, number one, she was bringing out as far as how you have to find the one that you trust, number one, to build that empire with. But then you also have to elicit people, entice ones into your empire. And I think that speaks greatly to the surrounding yourself. So, even surrounding yourself in your relationships, those types of things, those people that are going to help build that up, strengthen that. But then the other thing is, I think it really highlighted, because maybe this is, something that maybe somebody's feeling right now, is they have a role in that empire building process. And so a lot of times I think that gets forgotten. You have one person that's driving really hard and they're building one, and the other person feels like they don't have a part in it, and they do.
Yeah.
And on that note there too, I think it's really important to make sure that that person's involved. Figure out ways to get the person involved. And go ahead.
I think it's important to, I think it was Elena that said that, you have to be on the same page. Actually, Damon John, we're going to skip forward a bit, but he said, you have to make sure that the person that you're with, you share that dream with each other, because if you're working in opposite directions, how can you build that empire? Right? And then Tyrese Gibson, it just kind of all goes together. I'm not trying to go ahead here, but
no, you're good.
Said, maybe one of the reasons why you're not succeeding in your dreams is because you're sharing your dreams with your biggest hater, which is the person that you're with, or you're sleeping beside your biggest hater. That spoke volumes to me, because I've been there before, and thankfully I'm not there anymore. But that, it's super powerful, and you don't always realize that the people that are closest to you, it hit me hard. I was like, dang, I like it.
Right.
No, that's really, really true. And if I don't mind adding something to it, it's it's important, like you said, to find the right people. And as we are all like entrepreneurs in what we do, the hardest thing to do is to let it go, is to allow other people to join the empire, because we have the tendency to do everything ourselves. We know everything better than anybody, and to bring somebody next to you, because we all had how should I say this in a nice way? We have been failed by others, or we failed ourselves by bringing people in which actually they were not the right people, because maybe we haven't seen, or we disregard the signs, or whatever the reason was. And then you get a bit skeptical. So when you bring the right people in, you're still a bit, is this the right person? Is this the right bit? But then you gel, you see they have the same energy, the same drive, you think the same, and you've seen movies, it's like they finish each other's sentence. Mm-hmm. On this occasion, we finish each other's ideas.
Mm-hmm. So
that's when you realize, yeah, that's the person I want to work with, or this is the person I want to keep connecting. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, and what that person is doing is something that she spoke about as well, is become an asset, right? Mm-hmm. And then the other side of that was, they're not 50-50 in, they're 100% in. And so when you really think about it, it's like that level of dedication when you find somebody to do that with, like we were talking about, Christian, you've got to be both 100% in if you're going to build an empire. It's not a 50-50 thing, because you're much more powerful with the 100%. And that actually connected back to a couple of years ago when she was on stage and she spoke about, I love the illustration of the Clydesdales. One Clydesdale, I think it was, can pull 8,000 pounds, or something like that. And two of them can pull 24,000 pounds, and that's not even trained together. And then three of them, I think it was 32,000 pounds if they were trained together. Something just exponentially larger. So it really goes to emphasize how important it is when you're building that empire to maybe if you're that person that feels like you're the less prominent role in that empire building, that you're looking for ways to become an asset and you're 100% in, because you're really not a less prominent. You're actually probably more prominent just behind the scenes. That's all it is. You're more critical to the success of that empire than oftentimes what's given credit for.
Yeah, without a doubt. And if I don't mind chime in on that one, just piggyback on what you said, or 50-50 in and 100% committed. I'm a big advocate. Make sure you are 100% committed to everything you do. Don't find the right balance is to be 100% committed to your business, 100% committed to yourself, 100% committed to your family and friends or whatever. So if you work, be 100%. If you are with the family, put your phones and everything away, be 100%. And if you're investing in yourself, invest in yourself fully. Because if you want to find the right balance is not 50 or 60 or 40 or whatever. It's 100%. Be on the same level. And the best example, if you look at, and this is maybe like a guy thing, but if you look at Ronaldo, he's doing exactly the same. He's putting the same dedication, what he's putting on in football, in his life, in his philanthropic adventures and his businesses. It's the same level of dedication and quality. No, I'm 50-50 here and I'm 60-40 on the other one. No, it's all in.
Right. It's much easier to keep up if you're just all in on everything.
Yeah.
Tax speed, like Brandon Dawson says, right? And he even says, I don't have it written down, but he said something about commitment. Like you have to be pretty much completely committed to your success, or else you're not going to do it. Commitment should be, it's a core value to an entrepreneur. You kind of jump in with both feet and you hold your breath on the way down.
Right. No, I love it.
The 3 P's of success that the brand is calling them, promote, profit, and process.
Yes.
It's all about promoting yourself, go there fully, and then, just going to profit from your promotion and then find the process which actually is going to allow you to promote again. So that's exactly what it is with our, just when you're looking to be dedicated fully in every aspect of your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Love it. Well, and of course, she ended her whole thing with, you have to be a badass.
Yes, I love it.
And I think that's a phrase that has totally taken off within the 10X community of understanding what that means, right? Because a lot of times that can be viewed as something completely different. So, moving along, one of my favorite speakers there of the morning was Swanset. And that's of kind of like biased reasons there. She talked about marketing. She talked about data and how important it was for growth of business and those types of things. What did you guys take away from Swanset? She was a lovely, lovely lady.
Did you guys know her before she came on stage?
Not at all. Not at all. And she was one of those ones, I believe, that Grant met via Clubhouse.
Yes, Elena did.
So, Elena did?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was so cool. I didn't know who she was, but yeah, I loved every minute. You're going closer and closer to your chair. I love the whole thing that she did with I can't say that word, but monitorizing Elizabeth Arden or whatever to make it be not the grandma makeup that everybody knows it as. And it's back to Joel, marketing, data. That's so powerful. I love it.
Well, it's understanding. I think that it was a good, powerful message for a lot of businesses is they really need to take the time to dig deeper in as far as what their brand is about, and that's what she mentioned. 3 things about your brand. It's you got to kind of really break it down, and also identify whether or not your product or your service fits the needs of your customers. A lot of times we may be really super excited about what we're offering, or what we can offer, but we've come to find out if we honestly look at it, that it doesn't fit the needs of customers. It really doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
And, we wonder what, business owners, I talk to business owners all the time and they're like, oh no, I got the best idea ever. And they've not done the research to actually identify, does the market even care about it? They're excited about it, which is great. They were creative and they made it, but is there even a market for how they're trying to, or do they have, and I think a lot of times it's too much pride.
Yeah.
The right type of pride is okay. But too much pride sometimes is what keeps people in a non-growth pattern.
Yeah.
As far as
sorry to interrupt, Joel. I think one of the things is just before I need to shoot off to the next.
You bet. Yeah.
What I think is that you said you talk about the pride. I think you have the tendency, and I've seen this in myself as well. When you get too successful and you get too cocky, you have the tendency to forget, and then you need to pull yourself back in. Then you realize when things are going sideways, just because you kind of get drunk with the amount of success, and you have, sometimes it happens, and this is why you see so many people like having huge success, and then within 2-3 years they just disappear because they are not ready mentally to deal with the success. And one of the things I'm looking to kind of make like a book of it was just like a fear to succeed. It just is based on this kind of people. How are you ready to be successful?
Right.
Mentality is gone.
Well, and what you're talking about right there is something that I've seen quite a bit. I've been hanging around the 10X family since 2015, so almost about 6 years now. Yes. And what I've seen over those years is I've seen the people that all of a sudden they just blew up big inside the community. And this happens outside of this community that we're in. For the most part, the people that are watching Be Growth Driven, that are on Be Growth Driven, are part of the 10X community, the 10X family. And what I've seen over the years, though, is you have these people that just completely, and I'm trying to think, I think it's for lack of correct purpose and alignment that really putters them out, you could say. They run out of gas. Mm-hmm. It's because they didn't correctly estimate the amount of effort it was going to be to hang in. And a lot of people, they'll come up big and they're like, this is a bunch of, and that's just their own. That's just their own defense mechanism because they gave up and they quit.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, so I just want to say thank you for
100%. Christian, thank you for joining us this morning.
So I'll leave you to it, and looking forward for the next one, and I promise I'll be there fully.
Awesome. Next week we're going to talk day 3. You're welcome to join us, my friend.
Send me the link, and I'll be there. Have a great day.
Not a problem. All right.
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you. Bye.
So, well, as Michael, Michael was talking, basically commenting here, self-defeating beliefs, and I think that's actually a real thing. And so now Swan was talking about more like the business and data and understanding the details about your prospect, about your customer, and I think that's an important thing because a lot of times people will have that wrong perspective of who their customer is, and then they just get defeated. They get worn out.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? It's like you've seen it even too in your years in business and working with companies and consulting companies.
I mean, it happens to myself sometimes too, right? Like, I'm gonna kind of back up from what you said previous, how people think whatever entrepreneurship is. But if I want to talk about Cindy Eckert for a second,
yeah,
she talked about instead of being the power horse, be a unicorn, because it just piggybacks perfectly to what you just said, Joel. She said how most people think like in today's world, it's almost attractive to be an entrepreneur right now. And people are just doing it because they're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to have this glamorous life. I'm going to have this massive success, within a year or two. And then they kind of get into it and they're like, oh, crap, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Like, it's disguised as a lot of hard work, commitment, courage, like adversity, right? Like I have my own days where I'm like, God, this sucks, but
right.
At the same time, I can't wait to get up and do it all over again tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, no, and now speaking, and you're fine jumping ahead because she was a fantastic, there was a number of notes. One of the things that she brought out that I think is important too, is be curious.
Yes. Love
it. Because we lose that curiosity. Think about like back when you were a kid, how curious were you about everything?
Yes. So curious. And so this has made me super excited, Joel. But when she talked about, I think it was Cindy that talked about the motor. Do you know what I'm talking about? With the motor was always there and when it turned on? When she asked, how did you make your first money?
That might have been her. Maybe someone can chime in.
Yes. Or it was her or Swan Sweat. I think it was Cindy.
Okay.
But so question to you, Joel, how did you make your first dollar?
How did I make my first dollar?
Yeah.
Like the first dollar in my business.
Well, so that's what she talked about. She said how
Right.
there's a defining line between people that are usually meant to be an entrepreneur. She said, I would interview people and I would say, how did you make your first dollar? And most people would say, oh, a job here, whatever. But she goes, there was this one defining moment where one girl said, I worked at this place. Then she paused and said, actually, this is the best story. She goes, my mom used to have tomatoes in her garden and she used to give me the tomatoes to bring to the neighbors. But when I got to the neighbor's house, I would tell them the tomatoes were $14 or whatever. So
Yes. Okay. Yes.
yes.
I love
And
that.
so that's how she's like, that's entrepreneur right there. So did you have a similar story?
Well, when I started, when I was a kid, we grew up very little funds, very little money. I mean, I always tell people it's like literally, if you look at the town of Alba, Nebraska, okay, you're gonna be hard pressed to find actually where it's at because it's so small. And we lived at the gravel end road of a trailer park, and that's what we grew up with. So we didn't have the extra funds. My parents got divorced later when I was young, and so my brother and I, if we wanted money, we went out and collected cans. We went out and collected cans. We cashed them in. We painted curbs. We did newspaper routes. We shoveled snow. We mowed yards, and we set up lemonade stands. And we had to go figure out how we went and collected cans to get the money for the lemonade stand.
Yes.
Right. And then painted curbs as well with a bunch of it. We got a bunch of other boys and pulled into our little franchise. Right. And so one would be door knocking up ahead. Two would be painting the curb. We were a team to be reckoned with there.
Yeah.
But how I made my first money was straight up doing mowing yards or painting curbs, painting the numbers on the side on the curb.
Yeah, I know.
House numbers.
That's awesome.
and so or doing newspaper routes. Back in that day, we had to go collect the money for the newspaper route. So that you didn't pay the people that were subscribing didn't pay the newspaper company directly. The paper carrier had to collect that money. And if you didn't collect enough money, it was out of your own pocket.
Oh no.
So you had to collect the money. And so that's how I got started. It was one of those things when I was growing up, if I wanted anything, I had to go earn it.
Yeah.
Just as simple as that. And I had to be creative because I knew that I couldn't ask my mom for money. She didn't have it.
Yeah.
She was struggling just to pay the bills. And so how about you? How did you earn your first?
I love that story, Joel, because I always had to work for my own stuff as well. My parents never gave me handouts. Even to this day, they never do. They never have. I'm very grateful for where I've been, though. But same thing. So I have an Italian family. So I have 16 aunties and uncles, let's just say. So first way I made money was, it's funny because my parents always thought I was going to be a waitress. I tried waitressing once. I hated it. But when I was a kid, I seen an opportunity for me to make money. Same thing. I wanted to make money to go buy things. My parents weren't going to give me it, so to figure out how to make it. And so every single Sunday back then, we used to go to my grandma's house for a big Italian dinner. And there was at least 16 to 25 of us every weekend. And so after dinner, if you've ever been to an Italian feast, there's, dessert and there's coffee. And so at that point, everyone's sitting on their couch relaxing. And, my grandma, being an Italian grandma, she'd always be the one to bring everything to everyone. And I was like, no, I'm going to do this. So I would always write out a little list on a little note and be like, espresso, $1, tiramisu, $1. And so every single weekend I would make anywhere from $10 to $30. And that was the first time I ever made money. And so that entrepreneur gene has been strong in my life, I guess.
Right. You were hustling it right from the beginning. And speaking of a guy that hustles, we got a guest that just is joining us now. I appreciate this guy and, that we're going to be bringing on. Him and I are good friends. We built a friendship, actually. I think it was after GrowthCon 3, I think it was. But hey, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Jeff Sorrow. Jeff, thank you for joining us this morning.
Hey, Jeff.
How's it going? Can you hear me okay? I'm sorry if I'm
100%.
Oh, good. Sorry for being a little late.
No, you're good. If you notice in the background, he is the original Wheaties guy.
Oh, really?
I'm an unoriginal Wheaties guy. No,
So,
no.
but no,
What
Jeff,
did I miss, Joel? Jump me in here. How can I add value to the conversation?
no, you're 100%, man. I appreciate you jumping on. So we're into the discussion. We were talking about Cindy Eckert on day 2 of GrowthCon. So our discussion, of course, today, Jeff, bless his heart, we pulled him out of schedules and we said, hey, man, we want you on to talk about day 2 because you were there.
Mhm.
What was GrowthCon like for you this year? Day 2, we were talking about what was maybe one of your favorite speakers that gave you some nuggets of gold, or actually, hey, we were just talking about this question. Sorry, we should ask him.
Yeah.
How'd you earn your first dollar?
How did I earn my first dollar?
Yeah.
Like first ever dollar? Like
Sure, why not?
So I was at an event. I was really young. I was like 14 or 15, and I was at a banquet for this civic group I belonged to, and there was a DJ there, and like people were dancing, and it was awesome and fun. I was like, wow, this dude is awesome. I want to be cool like that. So I went to my parents' basement and I cobbled together 2 stereo speakers, and I don't know I don't know what else it was. And I got one of my buddies to let me DJ his graduation party, and that was my first revenue stream. And
I love it.
that's, I had no music. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like literally like recording songs off the radio onto a tape so that I could play them at my buddy's party. But that's how I made my first buck. So.
Cassette tape, the cassette tapes, right?
Cassette tape, yeah, the cassette. You could go to the dollar store, and then you popped out the tab so that you could record over, the thing. And man, I was, I hope this doesn't go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, DJ Jazzy Jeff. Yeah. So don't. By the way, I work in the entertainment business today, so please don't share this with anyone. I don't want to get music copyright issues, or I don't need a lawyer calling me about.
These were all classic one-off originals that Jeff was recording.
Absolutely, I was
nothing that would fall into licensable situations of prosecution. Not. Right?
Absolutely not. No.
No license infringements. No licenses were harmed in Jeff's early recording years.
No, just a few hearts. That's all. So anyway,
it's funny.
But listen.
The recording of music. I remember the first time I got an MP3. Fast forwarding it a little bit. I used to do the same thing. I taped my headphones to the speakers of our TV because I didn't know how to put music on our MP3. We didn't have an updated computer, and I literally recorded all my favorite songs. And so I'd have to come home and catch much music and make sure I knew what the perfect timing was because I didn't want to miss any part. Oh yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah, so when I was DJing parties, I would realize I didn't have a song, so I'd call the radio station and request the song so that I could then take it off, rip it off. But again, this is all between us. No one, we don't need to share this with anyone.
No, don't worry, Jeff. No one's listening.
No. I love that.
Hey, listen, but GrowthCon was a pretty exciting week, and day 2 was, it was as good as any other day, right? Right now, people are like, "What the heck is burning a disc?" Yeah, you're exactly right.
I was going to add a small tangent. We'll go back to day 2 here real quick. It's so I remember exactly what you're talking about there because I remember my sister would sit there and record songs off the radio using cassette tapes, and then she'd mix them together so she'd have cassette tapes. And then I remember, fast forward, I remember when our first bachelor house that I had of a bunch of guys, it's like we were excessive Napster users. If anyone knows what Napster is.
Oh yeah.
No, sorry. No. Okay. So Napster, for those of you that are maybe not familiar with it in the audience, it was like one of the original peer-to-peer music sharing. It's what started. I think it's what basically catapulted the whole, really in-depth license protection of a lot of music because everything was getting shared everywhere. It's like, you basically connected your library of MP3s,
mm-hmm.
and you would become rather popular with your library depending upon the quality of your MP3s, the bit rate of your MP3s, right? And so LimeWire was another one, Kazaa.
LimeWire, yes. I spent my whole high school on LimeWire.
Right. I remember. I mean, we thought we were the boss. We had DSL. I mean, we were up there. I think we were getting
you were
100.
you were the cool kid with the DSL. Oh man, quit showing off.
We were getting a quarter meg down, man. We were getting a quarter meg down. We were
knock it off.
We were fast.
I love that.
So yeah, I know. It's like it's amazing how and when you think about it too, it's amazing how the times change, and that's really. I think one other will stitch it back now to GrowthCon. It's like how the times change, and how important it is to have this mindset of growth forward, right? And how important it is to continually know your customers, like what Swan Sit was talking about, knowing the data. Jeff's big into on the entertainment side of TV and everything else of that data. That's what he helps companies with. Tell you what, just for a quick pause, Jeff, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and so I'm Senior Sales Director of International TV and Video at ComScore, and what we do is we measure what people are watching on connected TVs, smart TVs, devices that are connected to the internet. And we measure everything that comes through the glass. So we're able to capture if you're watching Bridgerton on Netflix and you switch over to your local news channel and all the other things that in between, we measure that. And what we do is we use that data to inform advertisers and agencies and brands on where they want to consider placing their advertising so that they can reach their target consumer. We also measure desktop, we measure mobile, we measure all sorts of other things. But in addition to that, and a little more germane to the conversation today, is I'm also a Grant Cardone licensee. So I like to help salespeople and business owners and everyone across the spectrum to my three pillars are strategize, advertise, monetize. I like to help people get the right information so that they can deploy that information and get better results in their business. And so that's why I'm a little sensitive about being accused of copyright infringement there.
And again, no licenses for harm.
Original content, yes, no doubt about it.
You're good.
Yeah,
that's really good. I like it.
So, and we have Audrey joining us here too. She had to call. She just got off. So this is kind of, this is exactly how these episodes of Beat Growth Driven should go right now. And I think we have somebody else trying to connect right now too. Another special, very special 10Xer. I think their device is still connecting there too. So we'll let them get that kind of sorted there as well. But if they're able to. So Audrey, welcome. Thank you for jumping on. Jeff, by all means, thank you for jumping on. We are kind of in the middle of the morning of day 2. We talked about Swan Sit. One of the people that finished off day 2 was Pete Vargas.
Yes.
What was one of the things that kind of really stuck out to you about Pete Vargas? He laid down some things I think were just powerful for a lot of people. Go ahead.
I'm used to raising my hand. I need to take a turn. We need a little hand raise. I loved, he showed the model presentation of like what he did for Grant and then what Russ Yeager did. And he showed it as an example. And it presented, I want to do something to help you. I want to give you value before asking for the deal or proposing what you want. So make sure the deal benefits everybody. But I love that. I want to give you something. I want to help you. Because in business, I think a lot of times if you're focused on the sale or the money, it's not going to happen. But if you focus on helping people and the solution, that's the key. So I love that he said that.
Right.
It helped me. It stood out to me. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I like when people lay out the framework because then it's like, oh, well, I'll try to do that for me.
Yeah, he gave a nice outline of how to do it.
He did.
Right. Well, and what you're talking about there. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry. Or were you just
I thought Pete, really wrapped up the importance of in the current climate of business and the things that are happening around us, how important it is to, his description of like events is make them hybrid, right? Where there's the option for people to join virtually and the option for people to join in person. And while that's all correct information, I think the bigger message that was so important there was the times are changing. We have to change with the times, right? Like we have to reimagine how we are interacting with customers, interacting with members, or however your business is structured. Like if you continue to do what you always did, you're just going to get plowed by the competition who is adapting to a hybrid model. And we're all doing it now. Like here, we're on StreamYard, we're on Zoom, we're doing all this other stuff. It's important to just embrace whatever the marketplace is asking for and accepting as a way of communication.
Well, and you're bringing out a valid point. It's like a lot of the people that kind of let's just say they get stuck with the times, right? What do they usually blame?
COVID.
COVID.
Yeah, COVID. They'll blame this. They have like an umpteen list, just a mile long list of every other reason why they failed versus looking at themselves. And so I think it's really an important reflection point for people to say, hey, why am I limiting my exposure this way? Why am I not? If I have something so valuable, why am I being selfish to not make sure the world hears it?
Well, and Grant says take responsibility for everything. Okay, and so that's such a great message, but I think people mess that up because they feel like they should take responsible for everything after a problem happens. What Pete was trying to say is take responsibility for everything up front. Realize that people want to communicate differently, so adapt, take responsibility and adapt. And one of the best things that I liked about what Pete had to say was you have to be available to all situations. Like 3 months from now, it might be like a condition of doing business to include a Clubhouse stream into your outward, interaction with the customer base. That's just something we're gonna have to think about, like we think about Zoom today. It's just a being ahead of that curve is taking responsibility for everything that occurs and matters to you.
Well, and look at what Clubhouse has done for a lot of people. I know for me, it's now turned into a business tool, a complete business tool. It's a prospecting tool.
Almost every speaker at the 10XGrowthCon mentioned in one way or another, or acknowledged one way or another, Clubhouse. And there were some of the biggest hitters in the world on that stage. Like that's a sign that Clubhouse cannot be ignored.
Right. Well, I think it's one of the early, it's getting in line with those things. So like you're going to see more and more, the Zoom calls. I think that you're going to see like the audio conversation be a prominent first runner. Then you're going to see still the Zoom and Teams, Microsoft and Zoom battle it out. I think you're going to see that develop even further and even more extensive scale. But what Pete was talking about, which was really interesting, because a lot of people made excuses why they couldn't hold events last year. Right. And there's some that are still making excuses. Yeah, there you go. We got the win room every day at 1 o'clock. Has your iPad yet arrived? Sorry.
I got to check the tracking. I think it's going to be here tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
Do you need a Clubhouse share? Do you need an invitation? I have some.
I will eventually, but yeah, Joel Camacho said he had one too. It's Miriam and Chris.
We have international superstars, Miriam and Christopher Dunson from Dubai.
Wow. Hey guys, good to see you.
Hello.
What up?
Hi,
How's it going?
So speaking about stages,
yes,
I'm going to give like huge props to Chris because he just went up and went around the world to find a stage.
Yeah. Talk about that.
I just jumped on a plane and found the stage, man. It was crazy.
Chris said these stages of the U.S. Forget about this. I'm going to Miriam's stage. She's got the hottest stage in town, man. That's what he said.
I had to go
Mr. Worldwide is right. I love that.
Yeah.
I go 10x, and I'll tell you, Dubai is a 10x place, man. 10x people, 10x city. It's amazing here. So it's been a blessing, and I'm very privileged to have the opportunity to talk with these guys and give them some information that's going to help them to better their lives, because it's such an amazing place. So I'm super stoked to be here and be able to touch people this way.
That's awesome. So we where we were at.
Amazing place. So I'm super stoked to be here and be able to touch people this way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me kill one of my playbacks there. I apologize. I kind of had the loop going on. I was pulling up here real quick a clip just for our audience to see. So this is the impact when you take stages in different places. Give me 1 second. Let me get it pulled in here real quick.
Yeah, pull that in. I know what you're doing.
Yeah. So you make the national news of a country.
Amazing.
تطبيقية ورشة عمل تحت عنوان قاعدة 10X المعروفة بقاعدة 10 أضعاف. استضاف كريستوفر دانسون الذي يعتبر من ضمن أفضل مستثمرين الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية الذي تحدث خلال زيارته الأولى للشرق الأوسط عن قاعدة 10X.
There you go. Oh my God.
I'm almost emotional watching that. How do you feel, Miriam and Chris? That's like a surreal moment, I feel like.
من سلوكيات حياتنا اليومية.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. It was insane. Huge surprise.
I cried.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is epic or what? Right?
It's epic.
If we can remove that banner there, Jesse, you're covering Chris and Miriam. So, I mean, that's just phenomenal, because now tell us a little bit about that, because I mean, that's just really kind of, it testifies to like the power of stages there, what we were talking about in Pete Vargas. I mean, what type of impact has that made? There we go. Now it's good timing. Let me close that out. So what impact has that made, Miriam, in your country?
Yeah. First of all, I'm really honored to have Chris here. Like, he's a celebrity now. Everybody knows Christopher Dunson here. They're also asking for when is he gonna come and speak again in Dubai. So again, I'm gonna tell you, like, the power of the stages here is very like I'm not gonna even say it's powerful. It's the way to go, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, when I decided to do the live events again, not many organizations or training centers right now, they're doing live events. So when you are doing a live event in Dubai right now, you are being some kind of a pioneer. So what we have done is that when we decided to do it, I'm like, we're gonna go all in. All the national news should know about it. Every single national news should know about it. People accused us of being everywhere. I'm like, yay, omnipresence. That's exactly what we're looking for. And then also, like, I reached out to some like TV stations. And by the way, the TV that came, it's because I know someone who knows the producer in that TV, and they are the one who's like, you know what, we're coming to cover the news. Where are you? At what time do you need us to be there? We'll be there. We're gonna put it in the news like on Tuesday, on Monday. I'm like, let's roll. So again, it's not only about the stage, creating the stage, it's about the publicity that goes around the stage. So everybody knew that we've been running the 10X event in Dubai, and Christopher, when he came, he actually showed how to apply 10X, and this is what was shown in the reportage. Like that we made it so big. You know what did we say, Christopher? We said Christopher Dunson, the top 1% retail investor in the USA, coming for the very first time ever to the Middle East to speak about 10X. So we made it so big, so huge. Like everybody, like it's been really great. So well done, Christopher, and on the great work you have done. Yeah,
I love it.
That's awesome, guys.
It goes to speak to the effect of applying a lot of the different principles that were talked about at GrowthCon. The importance of stages, the importance of knowing your audience, the importance of really kind of pushing your envelope, and putting yourself. Christopher, I got a question for you, man. Was there a little bit of, I mean, was this kind of like pushing you outside of a comfort zone?
Yeah, dude, Joel, great question. It was 100% out of my comfort zone. I can't tell you. I probably like 5 or 6 times. I just had whatever thoughts going through my head. They could be excuses or whatever. Just like anything new that we ever try to experience in life, right? That we're ever like, hey, I should do that, but you kind of have hesitation, dude. If I've learned anything, it's really about just totally ignoring those, making the freaking commitment, going all in, and just making it happen no matter what. You know, it doesn't matter how nervous you are, how scared you are. If you're telling yourself you should run away or back off, cancel, whatever, just commit, man. So a huge lesson for me, and it helped me to be able to help more people here because they had obviously a lot of the same issues, a lot of the same fears that we all have in life.
Right.
So I was able to understand them more, touch them more, relate with them more, and therefore impact more people. Does that make sense?
100%. No, and I love that because it's sometimes we have to put ourselves in positions where we have no way out. We know it's the right thing to do. We know that it's not unethical. It's not immoral. It's what would happen? What's the worst that could happen? Right.
Exactly.
But what's the worst going to happen? Okay, well, I'm going to freeze up in front of everybody. Right. Yeah. I'm going to lose my train of thought. What's the best thing that could happen? Right.
100%.
So, and what I think that I would imagine, I'm just supposing that the commission that you're getting is knowing the impact and the relatability that you're creating there.
Oh my God.
And the horizons. I mean, that's really kind of like when you can provide that level of encouragement for somebody else to go further beyond their beliefs because you did. I think that's the best commission you can give somebody or that you can get from that whole scenario.
I 100 now being here, it 100% goes both ways. Anybody that is doing like what Grant's doing, I feel that on a smaller level than Grant right now, and it really goes both ways. That sort of commission that you're talking about. So helping other people, but it comes back to you in a way different way. It's just been absolutely amazing, and I'm so happy to be here.
He's being so humble when he talks like this. He changed lives. I'm telling you, I mean, when he went on stage and everything, by the way, many people were surprised to hear that this is the first time he speaks in an international event. And I'm like, guess what, Christopher? It's official. You are an international known speaker.
There you go.
There you go.
That's 10x right there.
10x, exactly. And the fact that people actually saw it, witnessed it, the tips that you've been sharing with people, and actually my media team right now, they are going through the recording. We're gonna go ahead and make sure that those who couldn't make it, they can catch the recording. And by the way, in like 15 minutes, we're gonna get the official montage of the whole event. And the way we're doing it is, it's pretty much like he did a great job. So you should give like mashallah, he did an excellent, like he did a 10x job. That's what I want to say. So like he's being so humble about it.
Appreciate that.
He's a humble man, but so proud of you guys, both of you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah, way to go.
It's phenomenal. Well, and it's what just stitching back to like what Pete Vargas was talking about. You guys created, Miriam, you've created a really a hybrid event because you've created it where people could tune in virtually, show up in person, get the recording. You're creating the opportunity to get this information into people's hands to really impact people. So it's you're not limiting your beliefs in that regard. You're saying, well, what more can I do? And I think that's one of the things that I think a lot of people should take away from this is always ask that question, what more can I give and do? Because you never know how you're going to touch somebody, how you're going to affect people. And that's really, I think, as like a global community of just of humanity, we always need to be looking for ways that we can positively impact one another. And it's if you're worried about the payback, don't worry about it because it definitely comes. I know Christopher's going to see it all the way home.
Exactly.
Yeah. You definitely don't have to even think about that. That's not what it's about.
Right.
If you're thinking about that, you're kind of getting your own way. So
for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And it puts like a barrier in front of you and being able to help people because you're too busy thinking about yourself,
Exactly.
But it was absolutely amazing the amount of people that we got to touch. Last event that Miriam did, I don't remember when it was, but I think there was like 25 people there or something like that. Yeah. By putting in the virtual, there was more people in person, about double in person, but we were able to have 65 more people on the virtual, which was amazing to me. And it was her first time putting it up on the virtual. So, we had over 110 people there. So it was just insane.
Great.
And to be honest with you, Jude, like the fact that the idea of us doing it like virtual, that in its own, like it created a big vibe. Like even for the people who couldn't make it like virtually or live, it created a vibe. I'm gonna tell you guys, if I don't know, maybe something about being in proximity with the Grant and with you guys is that everything is possible. Like what was my limitation of not doing this before? That makes me think, why didn't I do this earlier? And again, the fact that some people were showing me where they were plugging the program into their screens at home, all these big screens for the whole families to watch. So again, we think about it as this event, but it transformed lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we look forward to 10xing it next time.
And made national news.
And made national news.
There you go. There you
I
go.
think it's really
Make sure you update your Clubhouse profile, Christopher.
Yeah.
International renowned speaker, right? 10x
100%,
international
right.
speaker.
100%. Thanks, man.
You know,
Can I ask, Christopher, have you spoken on stages in the US before at different events for realty like you do? Or is this first time ever?
Yeah, you guys want me to be super transparent?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I did really good on this event. I didn't have any problems. I didn't stutter. I didn't have any issues, and I blasted out information because it's inside me already. I've been learning it and applying it for 5-6 years, and learning my lessons and pushing through and wondering what about when I'm not motivated, and going through all these things, which is stuff that people have, questions that people have all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
So a month and a half ago, I committed to doing this, and at the time, I mean, I've always been worried about getting in front of people, just like anybody else, I think, right? For the most part, at least a little bit. But I think mine was bigger than most people's. My barrier to getting past myself, right? Because of childhood stuff and whatever. So anyways, but ever since I committed to this, every opportunity I have, no matter what situation I'm in, all the marketing workshops, the 360, I got up in front of people. When I get these microphones in these grants programs that I'm in, I stand up, I look at everybody, and that's just been from the last month and a half, and from a month and a half ago up until now, just forcing myself out of these situations, raising my hand to go up in the chair in front of everybody with Brandon Dawson and get drilled in front of everybody. I've had a lot of growth. I actually had another speaking engagement scheduled 1 week before I came here. And I just said yes because it was presented to me, for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
I was 1,000 times more nervous for that than I was for this.
Wow.
And I almost called and quit and said, hey, I can't come, because I was just having that fear, to speak in front of people. So anyways, that just all those steps, me saying yes and essentially pulling the future to me. Yeah. And saying, hey, I need to be ready for this. It's time to get out of my comfort zone, raising my hand, getting in front of people at every single situation that I could, acting like I was speaking in front of people just when I was given a microphone to, present my name or ask some whatever question. Really just in the last month and a half has taken my growth to a different level. It's probably the most uncomfortable, my biggest growth experience that I could have. It's probably the area of life where I have been the most uncomfortable in the past. And I would recommend every single person here and anywhere in the world to find the thing that they're most uncomfortable doing and just commit to it and just do it. No matter how you feel, no matter what, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
That's your area of growth.
Yeah.
And that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, and this is actually, there's one of the notes I made on Cindy Eckert on for day 2 of GrowthCon, and she talked about pick the destination that's big. Right. And so this is actually an excellent, example of that. You picked a destination that's big, Chris. I mean, you jumped all in and hey, let's find the biggest, furthest away stage I can go to. And you committed and go to it.
Freaking Dubai. You didn't just go to Miami. You went to Dubai.
Right.
That's huge.
Yeah. Usually you would do a few stages over the course of 6 months to a year before you jump into a foreign country stage environment. So good job. 6 weeks. That's good.
10x
action.
Massive action.
Yeah. But let's be real though too. It's one of the things that she spoke of too, and I would imagine that you'll agree with this, Chris. She talked about ladder every day. It's a workhorse mindset. And as long as I've known you for a few months here. I think it was a December workshop around there where you and I met down in Miami, and that's what I've come to know about you. Just getting to know you on a more personal one-on-one level. Is you have that same workhorse mindset. You're laddering every day. Miriam, no one can deny Miriam has the workhorse mindset. She's a machine that she probably makes Grant Cardone tired just watching her. Right? So, I mean, it's a huge props to both of you and putting yourself in a big destination. Joe Camacho, thank you for joining us. So for those that were at the mastermind, you'll remember Joe was up on the big screen. You're going to run for mayor, is that right?
You know, it's looking like it, man.
You got my vote.
You don't have enough to do.
I know. Yeah. So you saw this shirt, but I'm in this shirt today. This is my other company that I run.
Right. So
Wow.
it's in each and every little way. I think one of the things that we can take away from a lot of the content we got from GrowthCon and in general, and visiting with Miriam and Chris, and just visiting with other people in the community and the family, is sometimes we're at different stages of our journey. Sometimes we look at other folks and say, wow, look at the big leaps they made. And I think the question that we need to pose with ourselves is are you limiting what you can do? Are you saying, well, that's them, right? That's Chris, right? You know, he's special. He's the top 1%er, right?
Dude, we're all special.
And there's no doubt about that. But at the same time, that capability is in each and every single one of us. It just takes that split second to make a decision. Maybe your guys' thoughts on that?
Move towards fear.
Right.
I think it's important to to kind of wrap up, like Tommy Hilfiger, for instance. He's someone who doesn't really need to do anything, but you know, when Chris talked about like doing things that scare you and have something to pull you forward, lots of the people, the speakers that talked, especially on the second day, they talked about that. Like, you need to have something in your future vision to pull you forward, regardless on whether you've made it or not, because it's like, you know, Joel talked about last week, I didn't come this far to come this far. And so it's cool to see someone like Tommy freaking Hilfiger, who, you know, people told him that no one can wear a logo. You know, even it's like, hey, what can I do to this? I'm in electronics. And so it just kind of wrapped up everything that you guys said, like commit and have a vision to pull you forward.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I love it. Joe, you attended 10X virtually. What did you take away? If you were to kind of put together in day two, what did you take away from day two?
Day two, the biggest thing that resonated for me was be a badass. And so, you know, I finally accepted that title. I've had people in the community. I've had family, you know, close friends. One dear friend of mine who I do partnerships with companies. He'd always told me, he said, you're selling yourself short, man. He said, I'm not trying to like fluff you up and make you feel like uber special. He said, I'm just telling you that you've got more to offer than what you've allowed yourself to believe, right? And I kind of just stayed coy about it. I'm like, well, you know, I don't really want to do that. Well, when I heard those terms, you know, from Elaine's mouth, you know, be a badass, that just drove the stake into the heart to say, look, dude, like it or not, be a badass, right? I had heard, and you guys maybe remember this story or not, about the lion that was raised by sheep. Have you guys ever heard that tale?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh man, I'll have to send that to you. But in short, basically, it's a tale about a lion that was raised by a flock of sheep, right? And so it became very sheep-like and did all the things that sheep did. One day, a pack of lions shows up, and this lion had never seen that, was scared, and these lions came in and ravaged this flock of sheep, right? And this lion came over to the lion and said, "Why aren't you joining us?" And he's like, "Well, because I'm a sheep, man. Are you going to hurt me?" He goes, "Dude, you're a lion. Be a lion." I remembered that tale, and I remembered what Elaine said, and I said to myself, Jesus, I'm just going to have to be a lion then. I got to be the badass. Somebody's got to do it in my community, so that's what I'm doing. And let me tell you what, it's made the world of difference. I've had lots of business opportunities fall my way. It was the ingredient for success. That's the 10X life right there. And Miriam, I was watching your video the other day. It was awesome, inspiring, because you were just like 10X everything. And while I was watching that video, I was feeding my dog and my cats. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to 10X your food today. So I went to the freezer and I cooked them up some ham, and I made them a great meal. Yeah, it was inspiring, but it's true. Everything that surrounds us, you know, we look at opportunities to 10X it, right? Even if people get sick of that term, it doesn't matter to me. It's the way to be. So yeah, that's what I took away from day two, is be that badass.
Well, no, let me touch on something real quick. Beyond business opportunities, what other, now that since you've made that commitment, what other opportunities besides business have opened your way? And maybe we'll kind of go around, because all of us have been in the 10X community for a while, long enough to get the gist of it, long enough to really start to understand fully what it means. Joe, let's start with you. Like, beyond business, put business aside, what has 10X opened up for you?
family, closer, tighter knits with my girls, my wife, and then those friends that have been there through thick and thin. That has 10x my life by following that mindset. My girls, I set time apart. I've read Matt Smith's book, Serial Dadpreneur. Great book. Go get you a copy if you haven't picked that up yet. It just hit hard. I said to myself, I allowed myself to stay busy because I'm a workhorse. I'll work from 7 till like 2 in the morning. Sorry, because sometimes we'll be up chatting.
We're on the same schedule sometimes.
That's right. And so, I realized that my daughters, who were very patient, they knew Daddy's hustling, right? My 6-year-old even said, it's okay, Dad. I know you're working for us. So that was awesome, and it brought tears in my eyes. But I also said, you know what? When's the last time that I allowed myself to take an hour or two with them, put my phones away, and really be there with them? So I thought about that and said, gosh, it's been a while. So that's been allowing me to do that more and more with my family, to 10x that life, because it's a lifestyle. Why am I doing all this hustle? They're my why. They're my reason, right? So we can't leave those reasons behind. You always got to put them at center point. And being that they're my center point, that's where I focus my 10x energy. So yeah, that's allowed me to bridge those relationships even tighter.
All right. Miriam and Chris, what would you say? Beyond business, what has 10x done for you?
Yeah, for me, to be honest with you, someone has to do it. Someone has to start it. Someone has to be the catalyst of it. So when I started this at the beginning, I didn't know how far it will take me. But then again, the more I did it, the more I realized people need to hear this message. So I would say that, for example, for me, you feel like it's your responsibility to open the doors for others, since you have the key. And I feel like even in my community, even when I see, for example, women older than me, younger than me, and even the youth in my community as well, I want them to see more. I want them to be more. And I feel like it's my responsibility to share with them what 10x is all about. 10x is not only about, as you mentioned, it's not only about business, it's about everything. It's every aspect of your life. And for me, even though many people told me yesterday, someone called me, a close friend of mine. She contacted me and she said, Miriam, stop talking about the difference between 10x and average. You're making a lot of people uncomfortable. I'm like, good. That's exactly the message I'm trying to come across. Yeah. I'm like, good. She's like, Miriam, you are a disruptor. I'm like, that's exactly who I am. Because again, someone needs to hear it. Someone needs to know there is more. Someone needs to break that circle of average, because life is more than that. And again, it goes back to what keeps resonating with me from Jesse's first day. Until you understand your relationship with time, you will not move with urgency. So for me, every single day is a hustle for me to make sure that someone new hears about the idea of 10x, because someone's life changes because you're deciding to be 10x.
Love it.
I love it. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, what's the question?
What beyond business? You're like, I just got mesmerized into what she was talking about. Beyond business, what has 10x done for you? Because I want to separate. A lot of people only focus on the business side of things, and it's much deeper than that. So that's the reason for my question. Beyond business, what has 10x done for you?
Yeah, if you're not going all in on life every single day, then it's not worth living. I'll say that right there. And on top of that, there's this thing that people talk about with balance and stuff. That's something that Grant talks about not believing in. It's something that I don't believe in. What I do believe in is going all in on whatever I'm doing in the moment every single day. We all need to be at work to provide for our family and provide the lifestyle for ourselves, and hopefully one day people outside of our family that we want to, so that we can have a contribution to the world. But aside from that, when a lot of people have an issue, they go home to their wives or whatever, and they're tired after work or whatever the case may be. It's like, dude, go all in while you're there. Don't sit down and lay down or watch Netflix or whatever. Spend some quality time together. Take an hour of really excellent quality time every single day. Just spend the extra time, while you're there, and go all in. When you're at the gym, go all in. When you're at church or wherever, go all in. Connect with people there. Help people there. Go all in on whatever you're doing. And at the end of the day, no matter how tired you are, you're going to feel great, and you're going to know that you went all in that day and did the most you possibly could. Not the best you can, the most you possibly could to contribute to this world and give more to other people. Does that make sense?
100%. 100%. Audrey, thank you very much, because that means a lot too, hearing that. Audrey, what does it mean to you beyond business? This journey you've been on.
Yeah. And I always say every GrowthCon, it gets better. That's like my touch point, and every year gets better and better, because Joel started 10Xing, and I've joined along because I've seen the benefits of it. And I love, like what Chris said, how it's every area of life, because you can't just make it in one. And finding that rhythm. I won't say bounce, finding the rhythm that best suits your journey. But yeah, it is everything, because Joel, it transformed Joel. It transformed Joel. It transformed our life. So I don't want to get all emotional, but yeah, and like one thing you said, I think, Christopher, you're going to have to work. You have to work. Joel had a business. He's going to have a business. He's going to work I always worked for somebody else and considered myself the best employee they had. Because inside I thought, I am bringing the best. I know I am an honest person. They don't know it, but I'm their best employee. Well, they should have known it. I should have made it more apparent. So you're going to have to work in this life. Make it worthwhile. Joel's going to have a business. Why not have the best business? And the people who are hating on us, or the family that they're not watching. The family that's going to give us.
They didn't make it this far in yet.
That's
so
the family I want to help. That's the family I want to be able to help. My niece is in the hospital in Utah, out of state. My mom needs to get there. Why? I need to make it possible for that to happen. I need to be able to help more people, not just family, friends, community, everybody. But it starts close to home, close to heart, and we're getting there. We're getting there, right, Joel?
100%.
100%.
Right there with you.
Not all, but
Man, he took the words right out of my mouth. Jeff, you're a dear friend, man. What does 10X mean to you beyond business?
So, I think a lot of people who aren't familiar with 10X, when they ask you about it, they expect you to say, it's the book, it's the conference, it's Grant Cardone, it's whatever. That's because people are familiar enough with the concept to be familiar with those things. I, however, believe that 10X is really the standard. Okay, 10X is what where you're trying to take your life, your business, your relationships, your goals. It's a standard to follow, and it's a standard never to be achieved. Okay, so where you are today, Miriam is completely knocking the cover off the ball with the events and her social media, but like in a year from now, she's going to be 10X above that. And we're all going to be sitting here in awe of her and the unbelievable things that she's doing and Chris is doing and everybody else. And so each person, regardless of where you are, what business you're in, what your family life is like, has to take the term 10X as a standard for you. What is it that you're trying to be taking to that level 10 times, 10X higher that you are today? And so I think, like, for me, when I sit down to do something, when I think about 10X, I think about, when I complete this, am I going to be satisfied with how I sign my name to the bottom of the day today, when it's all over? And if not, then I'm not hitting the standard, right? And so as I reach further, as I get, as people get beyond where they are today, that just makes the goal 10 times farther, and you're always trying to achieve that. And so it is Grant, it is the book, it is the conference, it is the business boot camps. That's where you get the information. But outside of that, it's how do you set the standard for yourself, your business, your others. And if we're not all thinking about those things, you can go to every conference and every boot camp and read the books and all that stuff. If you don't apply it, you've done nothing. You've just absorbed information and not pushed it back out into the world. And that's a miss as far as I'm concerned. So, I mean, that's how I think of it. And I think, like, when you do an event like GrowthCon, where you're bringing folks in like A-Rod and Tommy Hilfiger and all that kind of stuff, like, that's taking the lid off of everybody and just showing people, like, your standard could be so much higher than whatever it is you're producing today. Like, go for that. Be the next person that Grant calls to have a place on that stage to tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Jeff. That's that's phenomenal. Just how you encapsulated it all. Zaria, what does it mean to you?
I love everything that you guys said. I feel like I could piggyback off of all of it, but outside of the amazing community, like all of you guys in this room, virtual room that we're in, that's huge for me. I didn't have this huge, I guess, support system before, right? And when you go into business, regardless if you talk about business or not, it's nice to at least have a conversation with people that understand your mission, your purpose, and like why you work so hard, right? So that's been huge for me. But outside of business, it just made me a better human. Like, I've always prided myself on working on myself and whatnot, but it really forced me to show up and be 10x in everything I do. I'm going to go to the gym. I've always gone to the gym, but lift that weight, do that, do an extra 2 reps. Cause why not? It's helped me be better with my family. Like how Joe said, put your phone away. I always felt like I wasn't fully present in all my, endeavors, I guess, cause you're always doing something different, especially when you're in business. Like your business doesn't leave your mind. So it's always, oh crap, that's a client, I got to reach out to them now. But now I'm like, no, you know what? I'm with my mom, or I'm with my friend, or I'm talking to Joel. I'm going to be in that moment, and that text message will still be there in 10 minutes from now, but Joel might not be, right? So it kind of just put a different perspective on my life, but in a really positive way. I'm being that badass.
I love it. And what now you've been, I think like Joe and Zaria, you both kind of came into the 10x community within the last year.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So this is like you're new onto the dosage of 10x, right? On what it's going to do.
Addicted.
So now it's like one of the things that I think that you guys are going to find really interesting. And Christopher, you've been around for a while. Miriam, you've been around for a while. Like we're like some older timers. In this. Jeff, when did you start with 10x? Was it like
when did I start?
Yeah.
I got the book, and then shortly after attended the second 10x GrowthCon.
Okay.
And that was like my first like immersion situation into the idea of 10x. But since then it's just multiplied in my experience.
Right. So one of the things I think that, and this is the beautiful thing, this is, kind of like what 10X means to me, because 10X means to me is it means it raises your beliefs that you were always taught, the wrong information that you were always taught. Mm-hmm. It always is, it amazes me sometimes is like when you start pushing that envelope a little bit further, saying yes, 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 yes. When I first got onto this, where I was at in my life was where I knew I shouldn't be. It's where I knew I didn't want to be, in not just business, but spiritual and family and everywhere else. But I didn't know the path to try to get out of that. And it's such a simple thing. It's not complicated. It's really simply the path of saying yes, and saying how much more. Jeff, is that you like agreement or yes?
Well, I want to add to that. Like, so yeah. You're talking about like how, the 10X idea got you, wider and deeper, right? So I came to Grant because I was looking for sales training. I didn't know all this other stuff was going on.
Right.
And so like by accident, I found all the cool stuff, right? Like I needed the sales training, but then I'm like, oh wow, people, ideas, mindset, motivation, like holy smokes, like there's a lot more here than just like how to close a deal. And so, I think everybody kind of, once you get involved, you're like, oh, there's like all this other stuff to be excited about.
No, and that's exactly right. Audrey, go ahead.
Can I interject? And I think since COVID, it's only made the experience better. So those of you who are new, Zaria and Joe, before we all had Zoom calls and Cardone U Connect calls, there wasn't the level of connection and seeing each other and knowing names. Unless you went to a boot camp in person and met people, there was none of this. So I think right now, if you're coming into it, you don't even know what a treat you're getting, because this GrowthCon has been the first time I have walked around and known people by name and face, Before, you were lost in a crowd and you knew only a few people because you networked with them the year before. But COVID has opened up a lot of new opportunities. So anyone who's negative about it, I'm like, don't knock it.
I love COVID.
It
I
has
don't even care how that sounds.
Corona.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
I said I love COVID.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, changed my life too. I mean, I don't like the virus, but I like what it did.
Exactly.
Thank you, COVID.
Yeah.
So
Because
it's home test, right? Zaria, the home test, did that go well?
oh gosh.
That was over and done with.
But no, just touching back real quick. I mean, one of the things, this is what I'll share out there from a little bit more of a serious standpoint. It's like beyond business. It's once you start really like aiming your goals, you know, sometimes the goals that you have right now, like you're just scratching the surface. I love going back through. I keep all my 10X planners because I love reflecting back a year, 2 years now, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years ago on what I thought was big. And it was big at the time. And that's why, you know, I love doing like the win rooms on Clubhouse that I do, because I want to hear those. And the thing that I always push is like, I don't just share whatever is your win, because what your win is today, man, you need that win.
Mm-hmm.
You need that win to be that catalyst, to be that fuel that takes you to the next win.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful thing. Like Miriam and Chris, you're seeing that, you know, they're in Dubai. As far as probably, I can only imagine that you're seeing people that are saying, I didn't think I could. I didn't think I was allowed to.
Yeah.
I thought that was for somebody else, not me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's those are the beautiful things and the things you get to experience in life because of it. It's 6 years ago, I would have never thought that I'd get to go fly for lunch, you know, 500 miles away and just come back for the same day. You know, I'd be like, you know, Joe, next time I'll come down south for a little bit further.
I'll go up north to you.
I need to get a bigger plane, Miriam, to come to Dubai. But
But he's working on it. He's working on it.
That's right. But that, I mean,
Chris can catch the ride with Joel next time, which will be great.
There you go. And it's not. I'm not saying
I'll race you to see who can get that jet first, man.
I like it.
Let's inspire each other. You know,
if you beat me, I'll pilot it.
There you go.
Let's roll.
But it's not saying those things. So those that are watching, it's not saying those things as like, hey, it's look at me. It's not that. Don't look at it that way. Look at it as it's something that you're going to find things that you feel are out of your grasp, that you thought you were told, you were constantly impressed upon that this was not you, this was for somebody else.
Yeah.
And you know, there are some things that are for somebody else. If they're breaking the law, that's for them. Okay. That's, you know, separate yourself from the people that are doing things right from the people that are doing things wrong. You know, do things. I always tell people, it's like, do things the ethical way. You know, if you're lying, if you're cheating, if you're being dishonest, that's not 10X.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
You ain't a pro. You're not a baller. You're not badass.
Right.
Okay. You're something else. Don't do it that way. But if you look at those things and it's being patient, but yet impatient at the same time.
Right.
So, man, I appreciate every single one of you. You guys are like this huge extended family, and that's the beautiful thing.
I miss everybody.
I know.
Miss you guys. Miss you guys.
It's starting to hit.
We need to have a virtual dinner.
Yeah. Hey,
No,
I'm good with that.
it's a virtual dinner. Come on, Zaria. You busted out of Canada once. You can do it again.
Okay, fine.
Dubai for dinner? Is that, you know?
We have some office space. Would you love to come visit Nebraska for a few weeks?
Ooh.
Yeah, totally. I'd love to. Of course.
Doors open.
You need to be warmer.
Hey, it's beautiful here. It was 75 yesterday. So
I have flip flops on.
Oh my God, jealous.
I have a dress and flip flops on.
I'm still in quarantine. I can't go outside.
Oh.
So, hey, guys, thank you so much for coming in. You know, this is beautiful. This is like little reunions. We're doing this every single week. Next week, we're talking about day 3. You guys are all welcome to come back and join in. There we go. 10X Newswire.
Love it.
Love it.
Look at that.
Oh,
And you just
that's
have this day. Was that planned? I love it.
Totally understand. That is, hey Jesse, can I just bring you on? Okay, all right. So there we go. Well, you got to hide that because we got to be. There we go. So Jesse, everyone, meet Jesse Reed. I make pretty is what we call her in the office.
Yes.
Okay, Jesse is the beautiful gal behind a lot of our website stuff. If you work with on projects with us, or if we develop funnels, advertisements, those types of things, digital advertising, she is my gal behind it.
Wizard behind the curtain.
Yeah, she's the
banners. She makes the cool stuff.
Exactly. She makes pretty. So it's
Great job, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome.
She and that book, Christopher. How's that book coming along?
Yeah.
Slowly.
Okay, that's we'll go with that, bro.
I started.
I'm just gonna keep seeding it out there. I'm gonna keep seeding it out there, right, Miriam?
Dude, the book's coming. The book's coming.
I mean, Miriam, you should drop that, along with the news is, hey, don't forget to pre-order Christopher Dunson's book, A Drug Called Average.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean,
Wow.
We're putting Christopher on the spot.
That's a good picture, Christopher.
That is a good picture.
color.
That's a
I like
good
it
book
all.
cover too.
It's
Right.
amazing.
Makes your eyes pop.
Guys,
Exactly.
I sincerely appreciate every single one of you. You guys mean the world to me. I know you mean the world to, it's the community that actually creates this.
Mhm.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man.
100% for sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Joel, for this opportunity to be on.
Oh, no,
Thanks, guys.
I really appreciate it. Guys, everyone that's watching right now, be sure to like, subscribe, share this out, and by all means, tune in to be able to receive notifications. Go to the website, Be Growth Driven, hit the little yes whenever it prompts you to actually receive notifications. We'll make sure you're alerted when we have things coming up. And always, I'm just going to actually let the parting video say the message.